If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Toews. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover. Anyway, so here we are. First of all, I want to thank so many of you during the week have been writing and just being so encouraging. And I have to tell you that when you're doing a presentation in the style that I've been using on these PowerPoints, you sort of feel like you're talking to yourself. And it's so much more fun when we're in a meeting or a school setting or something that we can actually see each other, and people, if they're falling asleep, you can see them. Whereas when you're just trying to get the teaching across, you don't know how people are responding, or if at all. So I really appreciate your comments. I appreciate your questions. We all grow with questions, and some of you have taken subjects further along and have more teaching. I love hearing about it. I absolutely love it. And I do wish we had another way of sharing that and enlarging what we're doing. But right now, this is where we're at. So I first of all just wanted to say that, and how much I do appreciate even the small notes that are encouraging. Makes me feel not quite as alone. And so as we are going into this particular subject, and I think you all know that we're going to tackle the Merkabah and the energy centers or chakras in our body. Does anybody have, there you go, Gigi, thank you. Does anybody not have a clue what or ever heard of the term Merkabah or energy centers? And I've got my spies in the land that are helping me to see if people put up their hands. I have evidently missed some people, and I want to apologize for the times that I have missed you. If your hand's been up, please don't feel badly if you want to just turn on your mic, and when someone's finished speaking, just just speak up. We're all friends, and we have a lot of grace for that. So I really don't want to miss anybody, and do apologize when I have. So anybody, so nobody, right? Everybody's familiar with those.
A couple of hands.
A couple of hands.
Yeah.
Okay, Ida.
Me here.
Okay, where's me?
Sharon.
Sharon. Okay.
Sharon, Alberta. Yeah.
Yeah, you've never heard of what a Merkabah or energy center?
No, I had to go to Google to find out what that was. Yeah. So.
Wow. And you came on anyway. That's great. Heidi, did you have your name up or name? Okay. You're just nodding.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it either.
Of either what a Merkabah is or energy centers?
Nope.
Oh, welcome. Okay.
Me either, Helen.
Where are you? Greg, really?
Really, haven't. No.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Well, me too. Me too. Okay.
I think Ida had her hand up as well, Helen.
And who did? We have
Ida.
Ida, yes. Ida, so you too? You haven't?
And Helen.
And I haven't heard of it either. All right. Well, I just want to welcome you then to this subject. And there's a couple of friends on tonight as well that are here for the first time. So maybe I'll just lay a little bit of the land, because this particular teaching was one that I did an intensive on 2 years ago now. I think it was 2 years ago with a group here in our home, and it's particularly of particular interest to me, because when I realized, as you know, when we started this series, we started laying the foundation and the importance of knowing, first of all, who Christ is, right? Who he is, and really understanding the importance of knowing who he is. Sorry, I've got a problem here. It isn't much of a problem because I'll just turn everything off and close it. Sorry, guys. I wanted to establish the fact that all that we are learning and teaching, because we are learning and teaching. We learn from each other, and we teach each other as we share, not just as somebody is teaching, but we learn subjects. And we started off laying the groundwork that we called From the Cross to the Throne, but it was actually from the prophecy of Gabriel to the time of Pentecost, and it was his story, is the history of Christ, and the importance of us knowing that, and for us not to just have our thought patterns in old church settings, but to know it within our very being that he is Lord, he is the Christ, and we are Christ conscious. And he left, and he said, before he ascended, after his 40 days with his disciples, after his resurrection, he said, all these things shall you do, and more shall you do. So we know all that. And one of our questions is, well, how do we do that? So we then went from that. That is our plumb line. That's our foundation of who he is. Then we went into the God code and understood that every single cell of our body has a signature of God on it. And these teachings are online, so you can go and watch them if that's something you'd like to do. We found out in that code that there are living letters, the Yod He Vav He, and what Yeshua means, what Yahweh means, and how that applies to us. But what we started seeing was there's a work within us, inside of us, that is really an important one for us to understand. And essentially, going into the subject here of the Merkabah and to deal with the energy centers in us is really more of along the same line. The more we learn about who we are and the technology that is in us, the more we are going to be encouraged, with ourselves, by ourselves, to know who we are, and that fact that we are him. He said, I am. Well, we can say the same thing. I am, because he is in us and we are in him. So we're trying to establish the importance of being human. There's a lot of times where I've heard people say things like, oh, well, I'm only human, as though that was a second-class citizen, as though that's some kind of excuse for not being able to understand the divine, who we are as a divine being. We're made in the image of God. We're made in his image, and we are made, the technology is within us to do all things and more than he did and while he was on earth. And we are that person. We are really without excuse, and we are unlimited. So we're going to go into this subject, and my prayer is that it will be clear and that you'll be challenged at another level of understanding of really the power that's in you. All right, in all of us. So I'm going to go and as you know, I've said before, the reason I like to do this with the PowerPoint is so that if you guys would like to just take a screenshot instead of okay, sorry, can everybody see that now? Is it okay? Somebody will have to unmute.
Great, Helen.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Awesome. Yeah, so that I put it on the PowerPoint, so you can take a screenshot instead of taking notes on everything, and of course it will be online too for you to review if you'd like to. So, subject: science and spirituality is the Merkabah and the energy centers of our body. We are living our life from, are we living our life from the inside out or the outside in? The goal of this study is to help us understand that we have a technology within us that has everything we need to live, move, and have our being in Christ. We are unlimited beings. We often go to external forces first to change an internal program. For instance, sometimes we'll just reach for medicine first. Sometimes we'll look for help from the outside in, but doesn't that look pleasant? We'll look for things to balance our energy, even essential oils, holistic therapy. There's machines of all different types. Crystal bowls and harmonics, frequency can be healing. Acupuncture, reflexology. I'm sure these are familiar terms to you. Music reaches far into the soul. All of these energy healing modalities are a gift, and there's many more, by the way. They're God-given. Every good and perfect gift comes from the Father of lights, where there is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. None of these things are bad or wrong. There's a wonderful success among many who practice these methods to help people, and some with very dramatic results. And I have friends that are virtually energy healers that use techniques like this, who have the most dramatic results. I could be here all night and tell you about testimonies, actually just in the last month. We have been exploring these past few weeks. The technology for everything you need to live is within you. If we go outwards for our answer, we will miss the best part. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by God. Our journey so far has been foundational to that fact. Number one, Christ set us free from the law of sin and death. A complete work was done to free us. We are unlimited and without excuse. Secondly, there's a God code within every cell of our body, his signature. Yod, He, Vav, Gimel, meaning life eternal within the body. That signature is not just a logo. These living letters are alive in us, and we stand alive in him. We learned that our heart and our brain work best in coherence, and that our heart is a powerful voice to our life. We learned that our thoughts and intentions are all powerful creative processes. The technology for our well-being and healing is first and foremost within us. Einstein said, everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So let's look closer at how to live our lives from the inside out. Last week, we saw that we're like computers. We have both hardware and software. Our body, our hardware. We are like a fabulous state-of-art computer, born to be limitless. Our soul, our software, the programs we input into our lives. We have a mind, a will, and we have emotions. We have free will, we have choices, and we make choices for our education, for our activities, our reactions, what we eat, what we do. All this goes in, is programmed in to our being. Our spirit. This is the energy that runs the body and soul. It's the force that runs through us to help us facilitate an optimal response from our body and soul. It's the hardware and software together. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Focus on what you want, where you are going, and what you are actively creating. Here's a fun fact. Our outer body is completely renewed every year. That's how we're made. Our DNA every 2 months, our skin every month, our blood every 4 months, bones every 3 months, liver 6 weeks, brain every year. We are completely renewed beings. If we live thinking that 70 is the lifespan of man, then why are we created to be renewed? Why is there a technology within us that creates health? You could go to Heart-Brain Coherence in lesson 4 and look into that more. We are actually light beings. We are made in the image of our creator, spirit beings having a human experience. So we're going to take a look at Ezekiel's vision, because he is probably one of the most interesting characters, and he tried to describe something that I'm not even sure is describable, but he showed us components. So we're actually going to read Ezekiel's passage of what he saw. It says, "Then I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself, and the brightness was all around it and radiating out of its midst like the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. Also from within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Each had 4 faces. Each had 4 wings. Their legs were straight. The soles of their feet were like the soles of calves' feet. They sparkled like the color of burnished bronze. The hands of man were under their wings on their 4 sides, and each of the 4 had faces and wings. Their wings touched one another. The creatures did not turn when they went, but each one went straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, each one had the face of a man. Each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right side. Each of the 4 had face of an ox on the left. Each of the 4 had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces. Their wings stretched upwards. 2 wings of each one touched one another. 2 covered their bodies, and each one went straight forward, and they went wherever the spirit wanted to go. They did not turn when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches going back and forth among living creatures. The fire was bright. Out of the fire went lightning. The living creatures ran back and forth, and in appearance like a flash of lightning. Now, as I looked at the living creatures, behold, a wheel was on the earth beside each living creature with its 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their workings was like the color of beryl. All 4 had the same likeness. The appearance of their workings was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they moved, they went forward, any one of 4 directions. They did not turn aside when they went. As for their rims, they were so high, they were awesome. And their rims were full of eyes all around the 4 of them. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Wherever the spirit wanted to go, they went. Because where the spirit went, the wheels were lifted together with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When those went, these went. When those stood, these stood. And when they were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up together with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. The likeness of the firmament above the heads of the living creatures was like a color of an awesome crystal stretched out over their heads. And under the firmament, their wings spread out straight, one toward another. Each one had 2 which covered one side. Each one had 2 which covered the other side of the body. When they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of many waters, and the voice of the Almighty, a tumult like the noise of an army. And when they stood still, they let down their wings. A voice came from the firmament, and it was over their heads. Wherever they stood, they let down their wings. See, artists have tried to show us what Ezekiel saw. And in former lessons, we saw the importance of understanding, in part because we're just unfolding some real mysteries in our lives, all about the four faces and about the beasts and about how that actually applies to the living letters and to the name of God that is within us. I can't imagine if Ezekiel had to draw it, even if he could. I just find his what is the word I'm looking for? How his explanation of what he saw, just outstanding. I can feel the oil on it. What if Ezekiel had the Hubble telescope? What would he see? How would he describe it? That is actually galaxy, the eye of God. Galaxies, there would be more and more. They'd be moving and they'd be spinning. This is Laniakea, a galactic supercluster comprising about 1 million galaxies. That red dot is the Milky Way, which includes 200 to 400 billion stars, including our sun. I look at this, I would have just called it a heart, but imagine the vastness of where we are positioned. Ezekiel may have seen the primal pattern of existence. His description was amazing. Ancient texts have shown that Ezekiel actually described what is called the Merkabah, or Metronon's cube. M-E-R, means a light that rotates within itself. Ka means spirit. Ba means the physical body. And we're going to unpack that a little bit. The Merkabah in sacred geometry is also called Metronon's cube. Metronon is not a figure in the Hebrew Bible, but his name appears briefly in several passages of the Talmud. In Jewish Apocrypha and early Kabbalah say that Metronom is the name that Enoch received after his transformation into an angel. So if you've read the book of Enoch, I would recommend the Ethiopic book. You'll find many mysteries like that you may still have questions about. I know I do. Ezekiel saw God. He saw our Creator on a throne that was carried by wheels. And of course, this is an artist rendering. In Ezekiel 1:16, it said, the appearance of the wheels and their workings were like the color of beryl. All four had the same likeness. The appearance of the workings was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. We're going to see those wheels are very, very important to where we're going. This is the color of beryl. Metronon's cube in sacred geometry is the shape that represents all the shapes in God's creation and Metronon's work directing the flow of creative energy in orderly ways. Metronon's cube include all 5 platonic solids symbolizing the underlying geometric patterns found throughout our universe and in the flower of life. The flower of life is a geometrical figure composed of evenly spaced, overlapping circles arranged so that they form a flower-like pattern with a 6-fold symmetry like a hexagon. The inner circles are surrounded by 2 outer circles. The temple of Osiris in Abydos, Egypt, contains the oldest examples of the flower of life. They are at least over 6,000 years old and may date back to as long as 10,500 BC or earlier. So you can see this is an ancient design. The flower of life contains Metronon's cube and all platonic solids. 5 platonic solids and the sphere There are 5 geometric shapes, each with faces, edges, and angles of the same shape. And I know this is really pretty technical, so we'll just zip through it. But we'll see here, the first is the tetrahedron, which has 4 faces. That's the shape of our pyramids. The cube has 6 sides, 6 faces. The octahedron has 8 sides, 8 faces. The am I saying it right? Dodecahedron has 12 faces, and it's represented here. And the octahedron has 20 faces. Revered by the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, each of these Platonic solids produces specific energetic effects. The basic form of matter, the 3-dimensional world, is the cube. By cutting off the corners of the cube in a particular way, a tetrahedron is formed, the faces of which are 4 equilateral triangles, like the pyramid, with 3 sides plus a base. And you can see that in the cube. If you take the cube off, you end up with this tetrahedron. The tetrahedron symbolizes harmony and equilibrium, since each of its corner points is equally distanced from each of the others. There is no strain or tension in a tetrahedron, but rather a condition of rest in equilibrium. The star tetrahedron, by cutting off the remaining 4 corners of the cube after forming the tetrahedron, we find that the cube contains not tetrahedron, but 2, one within the other, each an exact reflection of the other. The 2 tetrahedrons become the star tetrahedron, also known as the Merkabah, or a vehicle of light. So why is this important? The star tetrahedron models the energetic body of the human being, the blending of heaven and earth, the male and the female. It was also known in esoteric knowledge of ancient Egypt as the Merkabah. Leonardo da Vinci, probably everyone is familiar with the Vitruvian Man. And we see actually this isn't Leonardo da Vinci's drawing, but this is an artist drawing using his figure of showing how that man actually is within the Merkabah itself. No, I won't go there. Star tetrahedron is the Merkabah. The star tetrahedron, known in ancient times as the Merkabah, is also known as the divine light vehicle, the light body allegedly used by ascended masters to connect with and reach those in tune with higher realms. It's also called the vehicle of ascension. So what does that have to do with us? Here's the fun fact. The very molecules of our body are created for this purpose. This is the actual closest picture of a molecule taken by IBM. Isn't that outstanding? I love it when science reaches in and shows us what is actually happening spiritually as well. Here we see the molecule, and there is the rendering of the Merkabah. In God Code lessons, we saw that every cell of our body had the signature of God. Yod He Vav Gimel, God eternal within the body. Yod He Vav He, the living letters of his name. Yahweh, that create and connect heaven and earth. We saw Yeshua, God eternal, our salvation. The Merkabah, the star tetrahedron, combines opposing energies in perfect balance, masculine and feminine, earth and cosmos. I'm going to go back here. When we saw the living letters, remember, we looked at the living letters in his name, Yod, He, Vav, He, and the importance of how Yahweh and every letter connected us personally and purely with heaven. And I won't go through them because that's available to you to check out if you like. This union results in an activation of light and protection around your body that can transport your consciousness to higher dimensions. It reminds us of the potential power we yield when we balance and we raise our vibration. And I know we haven't gone into frequencies and vibrations, but many of us are a little bit anyway familiar with the purpose and importance of finding balance and keeping our vibes, as it were, in a good place and in love. We're learning that, right? It's the highest frequency. The two tetrahedrons, the star tetrahedron is known as the Merkabah, the vehicle of light, and it represents the innermost law of physical world, the inseparable relationship between two complementary halves. In essence, the Merkabah means that the spirit body is surrounded by counter-rotating fields of light. The Merkabah is the wheels within the wheels. The two tetrahedrons rotating in opposite directions transports spirit body from one dimension to another, as in the process of ascension. That is the energy field we create when we engage with it. And it can be done, I don't know who wrote that. It can be done with intent. What is the Merkabah? Technically, it is the electromagnetic field that is geometric in nature. The Merkabah field is extremely complex, involving the 5 platonic solids and other polyhedrons. It is believed to extend through all possible dimensions and parallel universes, and can possibly change its nature from electromagnetic to whatever is appropriate. No wonder Ezekiel had trouble describing it. All matter is the emanation. Why am I having trouble with that word? All matter is the emanation of a single geometric pattern. This pattern is the crystallized form of vibration and consciousness. The configuration of the star tetrahedron is formed within the first 8 cells of life and remains fixed at the base of the spine throughout one's life. Why is this important to know? What might God be showing Ezekiel? Was Ezekiel's vision about God himself or about his creation? Was Yahweh showing Ezekiel more of himself and how he operates? Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Ed and I were driving back to Winnipeg yesterday, and just randomly someone was speaking on something we were listening to, and he used this scripture, "The kingdom of God was within you." And he said, what if it meant the dimensions of God's limitless spaciousness is within you? And you know, that is the kingdom of God. It is dimensions of God's limitless spaciousness that is within us. The power of God is within us. I saw this on Laura C's Facebook, and I just loved it because it was really speaking to the really what Ezekiel saw in the and showed. That flower of life is a pattern that is seen in mathematics. There's a pattern in the universe that is seen in the rotation, in the wheels, in astronomy, and in our biology. It starts with the one, it starts with the yod, and it ends up the flower of life in our biology. We are made in the image of God, in his likeness. We are created to be him here on this earth. We are created to operate as he does. Jesus said, "These things and much more will we do." Could this mean that we have not explored how we can do that? The Merkabah is alive. It's an energy field. It is a living field that responds to human thought and feeling, which is the way to connect to the field. The computer software that guides the Merkabah is the human mind and heart, and the possibilities are endless. What is the meaning of the Merkabah? The Merkabah, meaning light spirit body, is the energy sphere in which everything exists. It's the vehicle that carries you to the dimensions of unity and love that exist beyond the mind. The upward and downward interlocked tetrahedrons represent the duality of existence, body and spirit, united in the harmony of a singular form. We are his creation, created in his image. Male and female are we created. Wheels, eyes, faces, fire, a Merkabah. So let's see what they have to do with us. What is the energy that in us is the human energy system? We are created with 7 main energy centers in our body. An energy center is an area of the body that is dense with energy. These are the subtle or energy body, not the material or physical body. Energy centers are where the energy of the body concentrates. There are 7 main energy centers that line up along the spine from the seat to the top of the head. Balanced energy centers without blockages allow for energy to move through the body. Each center of the body has frequency, energy, chemistry, consciousness, hormones, glands, and their own brain. These energy centers correspond to our body's areas that have vital organs. These 7 energy centers run from the root of the spine to the top of the head through the center of our being. These centers are like spinning disc wheels or discs. They are not static the way bones are. These continually rotate as energy moves through our body, upward and downward. They are a current, like a figure 8 that repeats itself. The energy centers are the connection points. When your energy centers are healthy and vital, they are open. But when the energy runs low, or one or more is blocked, the same as our physical bodies house energy centers, the entire universe is composed of spinning wheels of energy. Trees, flowers, animals, stones, everything is made of tiny particles. Everything in them has tiny energetic wheels turning inside them. And we inhabit the biggest spinning wheel of all, the Earth, a planet spinning through space. The energy centers of our body, you may also know, are referred to and called chakras. The Sanskrit word chakra translates to wheel or disc. It is understood in some cultures that your health is highly affected by the balance of these chakra or energy centers. If we accept everything is truly alive, then I invite you to explore this energy as a lens through which we can integrate the body, mind, and spirit together as a natural progression. In developing balance in each energy center, you are exercising self-mastery and climbing up, ascending to the universal intelligence or the divine, the mind of Christ, into Christ consciousness. For many years, this understanding has been recognized by the church as New Age, as a New Age subject, and has been avoided by many. It has been associated with religious practices like yoga, Hindu and Buddhist traditions, and it has been basically shunned by our Western thinking. While some may consider chakras as New Age, they are actually part of a system that dates back to 1500 to 500 BC. This is not New Age stuff. This is ancient age. Think of energy centers, or the chakras, as spinning wheels of energy located at different spots along your spine. Each energy center is actually a spinning vortex of energy. These energy centers begin at the base of your spine below the pelvic region, where the center is connected energetically down into the earth. The energy centers move up the base of the spine all the way up and out of the top of your head. Some say the seventh chakra extends beyond your head, connected to the universal consciousness, the field, the divine matrix, or as we call it, the mind of God. When these centers are in proper alignment, you have optimum health, and the body itself has power to keep itself healthy and to heal itself if necessary. And for more of that, go to the lesson on heart-brain coherence if you're not familiar with that. But here are the two pictures. You can see the energy centers going through the body of the person on your left-hand side, which are out of alignment. And when they're in alignment, the health is stellar. So here we see the energy centers that we're talking about. Going to the bottom one is called the root center. Next is called sacral. Next is solar plexus. The next is the heart center. Next, throat. Next, the third eye. And the next, the crown. And the eighth, as we go through, is where the mind of Christ consciousness is. And we also know that it's all in all. So if we look from the bottom up, we're going to go through the seven energy centers, and you might see yourself as or identify things within yourself that might help you to align yourself, even just recognizing them right now, that there might be an area that is offline or blocked even. The root center is located the lowest part of your torso, the perineum, or the base of the spine. Your root chakra is associated with birth, survival, safety, and stability. It's attached to your life energy that supplies the body, soul, and spirit. The root energy center governs the pelvic bone downwards, and it preserves and replenishes life. When our energy is rooted, we're not easily swayed by what others think or feel about us. We're not easily triggered by people or places or events. We remain centered and balanced in situations. We are grounded. We feel more safe and trusting. If it's in balance, you may identify with laziness or be self-centered. Your negative energy may cause over-worrying, anger, resentment. You may find yourself clinging to those who project a sense of safety. Physical issues might include constipation, hemorrhoids, sciatica, lower back pain, sciatica twice, prostate issues, or menstrual cramps. The sacral center. While the root center is solid and stable, the sacral is about movement, fluidity, and change. It is associated with creativity, your sensuality, and emotions, and it's located in the lower abdomen. It's connected with the womb in women and reproductive organs of the abdomen, lower intestines, kidneys, bladder, and urethra. If you have a healthy attitude, you're balanced about sexuality and your body, and you'll feel accepting of others and compassionate. You're more creative, vibrant, optimistic, and playful. You recognize your gut reaction accurately and how it interacts with your heart and brain function. If you're imbalanced, you may have poor boundaries, especially sexual ones. A person may have repressed sexual issues, jealousy, fear, or addictions. The solar plexus, which is the third, located in the upper abdomen area, just below the rib cage. The solar plexus is our source of power and confidence. It is associated with our inner fire, will, energy, and self-esteem. If you're balanced, you know yourself well and you trust yourself. You're confident, you hold inner worth, you're assertive, and are well-balanced and merciful. You keep a good diet and exercise often, and you feel strong, autonomous, and free. If you're imbalanced, Your fear may manifest in aggression, being competitive. You may have trouble sleeping, be stressed or nightmares. Feeling unworthy, you may have a tendency to blame others, be stubborn, dominant, and manipulative. If you are criticized, you may be triggered and manifest anger or obsessive worry. The heart center. When our first three centers are in balance, a basic survival needs are met. We can be fully open to love. The heart is located as your body's heart center. It influences the thymus gland, heart, lungs, shoulders, arms, and chest. When your heart center is balanced, others are welcomed in and accepted for who they are. We live in love, peace, and happiness, excuse me, regardless of our circumstances. There is balance in self-love and love for others. Feelings of interconnectedness, compassion, empathy, and emotional balance govern your life, and it's easy to feel gratitude. If you're imbalanced in your heart, a person may feel loneliness, have dysfunctional relationships, have jealousy, be hypercritical, fear of rejection or codependence. Criticizing or cruelty may be symptoms. Lung, heart, upper back problems point to this chakra being blocked. In the throat center, located right in your throat area, this center is associated with expression and communication. It's not just communication with others, but also one's own mind and body. It connects our ability to express our thoughts creatively, to sing, to speak, to listen. We resist letting our true selves be revealed to others. And it influences our throat, neck, ears, thyroid gland, and it links the heart and the pineal gland. When it's balanced, the spiritual role of this center is divine, and you are healthy and strong in your expression, and you're true to yourself. You actively develop your talents and can properly assert yourself in a caring, loving manner. You know yourself well and trust yourself. You're confident and recognize your inner worth. You keep a good diet and exercise often and feel strong, autonomous, and free. You feel in sync with life. With your throat center imbalanced, fear may transform into aggression, needing the last word. You may have an unbalanced competitiveness, can't hear true correction or instruction, and may have obsessive worry or anger. The sixth is the third eye, or the pineal gland. It's located in the middle of your head, between the back of your throat and the back of your head. It influences the pituitary gland, eyes, and brain, especially how we see intuitively. It is referred to as the third eye and has similar rods for sight at the eyes, or that should be in the eyes. This center represents our ability to see beyond our material selves and is the seat of intuition and understanding. When it's balanced, there are feelings of wisdom, inner peace, spiritual awakening, and awareness. You may feel closer to spirit and closer to yourself. When this center is balanced, it's easy to sort the significant from the insignificant. And like the heart, it is center connected with intuitive knowledge and understanding. Imbalanced, we may experience self-importance, pride, overconfidence, and disconnect from one's inner knowing and from others. Also evident may be a lack of perspective and a lack of imagination. We may experience difficulty in concentrating, retaining information, dualistic thinking, and being stuck in one truth. The crown chakra. Just as the root chakra is our connection to the earth, the crown chakra connects us to the universe, the field, the source, the cosmos, the mind of God. Located at the top of the head, crown energy center is associated with consciousness, transcendence, and meditation. It has the ability to bring us bliss and is this energy center that needs to fully open to activate the function of connection to the divine and not just the material world. When it's balanced, transcending all dualism, you are spiritually free. You're in connection with all beings and the universe. There's no separation. Your centers are spinning freely and divine energy is flowing through your body, and you feel deep wisdom and connection with Yahweh. You have a sense of oneness, peace, and being whole or complete. And there's no need to strive or struggle, as everything that is needed and lies within. Imbalanced, a person may have a detachment from reality. Mental disorders, greed, feelings of being overwhelmed are common. If the other centers are not in balance, bringing energy to this center may cause extreme problems such as spiritual crisis, disinterest in living, fragmentation, addiction, or cognitive delusions. Sadly, if a person is only connected with the material realm, they will not fully understand or appreciate the spiritual realm within them. The mind of God, Christ consciousness, is also called the star energy center. When you release first of all, when you align the energy from the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, into the mind of God, or into Christ consciousness, we are in a place of amazing receptivity. We're in a place where that you actually feel the energy, not just of what you're projecting up and outwards, but what actually starts coming and being directed into you. Sometimes the soul, I'll go back. Sometimes the mind of Christ or Christ consciousness is also called the star energy center. The 8th center, and it's located beyond the 7th. It is the energy center known for messages of divine love, spiritual connection, and transcendence. When our energy centers are free flowing and in balance, this connection with the 8th center, Christ consciousness, heightens our embodiment of spiritual wisdom, who is Yahweh. The major energy centers just outlined are the most commonly studied in the entire energy system, but the subtle body is complex and intricate energetic system. Just like there are different levels of consciousness, there are different levels to the spiritual realm. And this is where the energy system comes into play. Once you balance energy within yourself, you can let divine light shine. Actually, as I look at that statement, I know I wrote it. I'm going to say, once you balance the energy within yourself, that divine light can't help but shine, because when just as you see the colors going into this prism, when they come and are that accurately together and in line, you become that light, you become that shining, you become that energy that is divine light, perfect. When we change our energy, we can move into a new state of being. And we saw that in our study on heart-brain coherence. The effects of engaging in it are outstanding. We heal disease. We can create a feeling of heightened well-being. We have greater capacity to operate in compassion and love. We eliminate stress. We create matter. And now we've also seen that there's science behind that. We boost and can activate our autoimmune system, release anti-aging hormones. We bring peace and so much more. To achieve this requires understanding and practice. If the only activation you learn and are able to live out of the emotions of love, compassion, care, and gratitude, it will change your life. We saw that in the heart-brain coherence. We also learned that knowing that the principle that we are capable of changing our circumstances and that our thoughts and intentions are a creative force. Understanding the energy centers and the entire system can be incredibly powerful. We can also learn how to harness our life force energy that will support our well-being, our spirit, soul, and body. And we can learn to become the co-creators that we're born to be. This lesson taught us about what the Merkabah is and the energy centers of its power. To take this into another place of understanding, we need to engage and activate the same in our own being. One of the ways to do this is by meditation. The term meditation is simply to become familiar with or increase awareness. So, where are we? Here we go. I would like to invite those of you that are here to learn to come into the next study, to learn some easy activations that have a science behind them that will actually bring us into supernatural practice that will benefit us. The prerequisite to the next the next study on this is that I would really like it if you watch the former lessons in the series. And the reason is because then you'll have a more complete picture of what it is that goes into the understanding of activating the energy centers within you and the reason why. Plus, we're also going to take it into the next stage of activating that Merkabah. We can actually step into that energy because it's an energy field that we can live in, and there's ways of activating that. So the next opportunity will be an interactive class sharing 3 meditations that I've learned and used personally. I can only teach out of the things that I know and that I'd use myself. So a Merkabah meditation, aligning the energy centers, and the breath would be 3. These classes I want to limit to 20 people and will require a reservation. It will include additional teaching, question and answer, as well as time together in activations. So it'll be important to set aside at least 2 hours. For those who would like to go into this next session, I'd like you to register, please, for it. And you can, and right now I have 2 Wednesdays, the next June 30th, and then July 7th, if either one of those suit you. The reason I want to limit it to 20 people is because we're able just to do it better if we're interactive and have question answer. We just open and then we will do the activations together. So I'm going to just stop the share here. And here we are. I know that was a lot, right? That was a lot of information. If that's really brand new, Heidi, your head is going like this. Was that a lot, as in too much?
Elizabeth has her hand up, Helen.
Elizabeth, okay, thanks, Eddie. Elizabeth.
Sorry, Helen. It's when you said who's interested, I instantly put my hand up.
Now, okay, thank you. And I will need you to email me, please, and tell me what date. I'm okay. I will send, actually, I'm going to send everybody an invitation, like a notice, just so that everyone's got the dates, and then we'll fill up those classes.
So I also have a Healy, which I've been really having fun with.
Yeah.
And, doing the auras and stuff. And I just was curious, even while you were teaching it, and I pulled it up, and the crown chakra, it was at 100. And I was like, wow. Just thought I'd share that. That's just cool. I love this.
You? Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I've got your name down here.
Awesome.
All right.
Put my name down too, Helen, please, for the 30th.
Okay. Okay.
And I also want to give you a testimony.
Yes.
You know, what you've been teaching, and I've been engaging. And last Monday night, my time, I had my I had my group, one of my groups, and one of the people, she's in Sweden, one of the people were having problems with her knees. So we engaged, like you said, and it was only an hour's session, but by the time we finished, her knees, no pain.
Come on.
Perfect.
What did you do, an intention for her? What did you actually do? Was it
Intention? I did the intention. There were 8 of us.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. That's so great. Such a good testimony. I love it when it happens that quickly.
Yeah, she was over the moon because she'd been suffering for quite a while.
Right. Right. Awesome. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Thoughts? Greg, this was new to you. Are you a spinning wheel thinking?
Yeah, spinning wheel is a good way of putting it. Yeah, just a lot to think through and, you know, ask the Lord about and try and, okay, what do we do with this? And am I, you know, is this in line or, you know, it's like, oh, I can identify with everything. It's like, so yeah, that's a lot to try and get a handle on.
It is. It is. Yeah. It's a lot of information, and the thing is, I realize that the understanding will come in the doing of it, right?
That makes sense. And just a point of clarification, maybe your 2 classes that you're offering, you're running the same thing twice. Am I understanding you right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
And I'm not. I'm thinking, because it's interactive, I want people to feel free to be able to share and talk and ask questions, that I won't be posting it. I may somehow help people understand and maybe do something else with teaching the meditations, but I think just out of respect for everybody that would like to do that, it will just be private.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Helen, are you stopping the recording?
Right now? No, not right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless somebody's uncomfortable. Okay.
No.
I have hands. M, and then Carolyn, Lana, and Sue. Okay, M.
Okay, so I am familiar with the wheels or the energy, whatever you want to call them. I call them chakras. I've actually experienced blocked chakra, and it came in the physical form, and it was my lower back. So my mindset coach is also a Reiki master, so she was able to work with that and not even be with me. She actually is able to do it remotely. So I didn't realize that was what was going on. I just felt this awful pain in my back, and it turned out that I had a blocked chakra. So I totally understand that. I'm looking forward to, I believe I have listened to some of your teaching when I was actually in Brandon at Judy's place, and I think that's when you were talking about aligning the energy chakras and going from the bottom up, etc. I didn't fully understand it then, because that was just after I came into the revelation that where that was the church age. Now we're in the kingdom age, and this is not new age. It's a whole different ball of wax. And so it was new to me then. It's more familiar with me now. But I'm looking forward to. I've already sent you an email before you decided you were going to send everybody else one. So I'm requesting for the July 7th, as I hope to be in Manitoba at that point too. So anyways, I'm just ecstatic about this. I've got things to look into. When you talk about Metatron, that is phenomenal. Like, I mean, my mindset coach is also very familiar with that. She's ascended and done a number of different things. So, but yeah, this is phenomenal. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that, Em. I would just like to clarify something too, that when we engage to learn, in meditation about Metronon's cube, actually there is it's called it is actually a meditation to engage with the energy that is the Merkabah, because the Merkabah is an energy field, and it's how we actually are positioned and sitting in it. It's called the vehicle of ascension as well, and because it's related to how the energy of our body works, just like heart-brain coherence works in one way and has these things that happen and manifest in our body, so it does with learning to align our energy centers. So I want you to understand that this next one is something that we will be taking responsibility for our own body. It's not working with another person or with. I am not at all familiar with Reiki or other. I've heard the term, yes. I just haven't looked into it. When I learned about that I actually had these energy centers, and I started studying them by themselves, and then I learned that I can, by my own desire and will, activate the action of those centers that go up my body. And it's a very powerful thing, and it affects the different places in my body when I do that. Now, we are aligning here with Christ consciousness. This whole thing is about a plumb line with him. And so these energy centers are real. And when we actually know how to, it's a very gentle thing. And it's also a releasing each center into the mind of Christ so that the blessing will come from him. And so it's us cooperating with him in it. And so we release this energy and you can actually feel the energy being released. And as it's released completely into him, you have that sense that even though it's a subtle body, it's not our physical body, you end up with physical manifestations as this is done. So I hope that helps a little bit. Okay, so Carolyn, we'll get to you. Lana, am I missing Lana?
Yeah, I seem like I'm paused again, but anyways, my question is, do the energy centers spin in a certain direction, or is there a difference when they're blocked?
Well, yeah, there's a big difference when they're blocked.
Who's
I know when they're, but I'm wondering if they spin a certain direction, if they're open, the opposite, if they're blocked, or.
I know the Merkabah, the Merkabah itself spins in two different directions. The masculine and the feminine, and I'm not going to go into it right now. So when you are in that in that place, there is a difference in spinning. But I'm going to save it for that class to show you actually
for sure
how your body goes. And yes, the answer I know about the Merkabah. I don't know. I have read it. It slipped my mind. The directions of the energy centers. So I can't answer that well right now.
Clockwise.
Thanks.
Sorry, Joanne, did you say?
Oh. They spin clockwise toward the heart.
Okay. Actually, my first, Joanne McFadder is here for the first time. And I appreciate you being here because, you know, the very first lesson I ever listened to on this was Joanne's. That was yours. And I don't know how that is. Like, that's what? I don't know how old, 10 years, 20 years old. No, you've just turned yourself off.
15.
Yeah. And you know what? You started it in me, it triggered it, and I just went from there. So how great is this to be able to say thank you for that. I still say that.
We're coming full circle.
It is full circle, yeah.
With Heidi in the middle. Heidi, she's the one, you know, told me that you were doing this class, and I said, I know her.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun life we're in.
Yeah.
Okay, Carolyn.
Oh, thank you, Helen. I'm kind of don't know what to say, except that 20 years ago, I came to know God properly, having been a Christian for 5 generations. But and I became aware, because I was plunged into it, that I had an angel called Metatron, and he told me he was called Lord Metatron if I wanted to call him that, because I asked him where he is in the hierarchy. And so he's been with me all these years. He said from birth. I've even seen him. And then he also taught me, and I didn't know a thing about energy centers, nothing, about the Merkabah. And he gave me that word. And it's like, what is it? And it was, I didn't know it was in the Bible. I didn't know anything. Like, honestly, 20 years ago, I was a baby. Suddenly I'm presented with a Metatron and this Merkabah. And he said to me that I could take it wherever I went. And he just showed me that it was like one of those wind farm, you know, those things on a wind farm. And so I used to just set it up in church with intention in the middle of the room. I didn't know it was in me. And he could only tell me what I could take. And so I used to go to church and go everywhere, and I'd go and visit somebody in their home and intentionally pop this like wind farm thing in the middle of a room and set it spinning, and you know what? It changed atmospheres. But that's all I know about it. And I just wanted to tell you that it's really a waste of me talking for the last few minutes, but I just wanted to say that that's why it's so exciting learning a much rounder story of what this is about. Thank you for listening.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Caroline, I love the fact you say that the story, because really this initial lay of the land is a bit of a story, isn't it? There's so much information. Just here you are, and but we will sort it out in the next couple of weeks. That's
I'm so excited. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Sue.
I have a couple questions for you, because I've always heard about the Merkabah in the context of, it seems like an assignment for someone. Like someone will say, well, I have a Merkabah, or I operate in a Merkabah or under one. Are Merkabah singular? Are they plural? Does everybody have an individual one? Like I understand it and I want it, but how does it, yeah, I just can't quite figure out what it looks like. Is it individual or is it corporate or what?
No, okay, I'm gonna open this up for Joanne as well. I would just say that I actually don't understand the first part of the question, what other people are saying. My understanding and my experience actually is that we are the Merkabah. We are that energy field. And what I tried to do tonight is to give you that lay of the land, so that you can operate in the very field that that surrounds you, that you're created to.
That seems really right.
Sorry?
That seems really right to me, that's the description. I've just always heard people say, well, I have a Merkabah. Well, do I have one too? So I get it now, I think.
You're it, baby. You're it.
Yeah. It's kind of like when people will talk spiritually, like there's a door. I'm going through an open door into a heavenly realm. And then you come into the understanding of, I am the door into the spiritual realm. So it's kind of like that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah, sign me up.
You see, the I am isn't way out there somewhere. The I am is you. And the energy, like what I see in Ezekiel's vision, is that he saw creation, and it was that creation was burst forth from God, from the Creator, from Yahweh. And in the explosion of that, it wasn't the great bang, like Big Bang, like science says, first there was nothing, then it exploded. It was something. It was the heart of Yahweh that's creating. And when he saw all this, he saw the four faces of God. Well, we've experienced that in the last few weeks. We've taken that apart and saying, well, what were those four faces? What do they mean? What are the living letters of Yahweh? What we're finding out what is in us. Well, this is just another level of understanding who we are. And the Merkabah isn't somewhere way out there. It's us. That it's an energy field, and it has male, female component, I guess is a term, but it has the fullness. He created us male and female. He called us both man. That man is us. And we are in this, and it can be activated. If we aren't doing it, it isn't being activated to the extent that it can be, to live in that ascended place, in that ascended state. And we don't need to go out looking for it somewhere. And so no one else can do it for you, by the way. This is for you. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that you say I am. I say I am too.
Amen. 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 That's awesome.
Yolanda, Helen.
Yolanda. Yes. Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Ed. Helen, I've heard of Yod He Vav He, Yod He Shin Vav He, but I've never heard of Yod He Vav Gimel.
No.
Can you walk through that, please?
Well, yes, it is actually part of the God code. Science has found that, and we did a lesson on that. I think it's the third one that we, or I don't know now, second or third one we did in this series. It's called the God code, and how science actually, by the elements of nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Actually, the atomic numbers of the letters actually are Yod, He, Vav, Gimel. Gimel is carbon, And that is, that is God eternal within our body is the code. But you'll have to maybe take a look at that, because that is the code within us, within every cell of our body.
Yeah, because when I the other day I jumped onto your River 474, but I found only, I think, 2 teachings posted on it. And I've been going to re-listening to our last session. Am I right, or am I missing some?
Yeah, I don't know if Bob is on here. My technical help isn't here. That all of the teachings are on YouTube, and from every time I've brought it up, I just write in the River 474 on YouTube, and they seem to come up, but people are having problems. So what we're doing right now is we're putting them together on a new site so that they're all in line, and you can just push the button and they'll be there. So my apologies for that. We thought that it would be a simple thing for everyone to find, but is anyone else having trouble finding them? Sue, a little bit, Sue says. Okay.
I've actually found everyone except for last week's.
Yeah, and last week's didn't get posted because of the internet problems that I had. I wasn't able to get them. The internet was so weak that I actually couldn't. It's too big a file, so I couldn't send it. But I sent it yesterday, so it will be up. Probably.
It's on today. It's on there today.
All right. Thank you, Donna. I'll check.
Okay.
The other thing, Helen, I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Would you look at creating a private, I don't know, on either Telegram or Messenger or something, only for this group, so then you don't have to individually contact everyone, so that only this group can access that?
Okay, access their teachings, you mean?
Well, yeah, or anything that you want to share with this group, like having, you know, the your teachings for the meditation and stuff on these two. If you post it only on a specific channel or on Messenger or something, right, where only this group, let's create like a private group, so only we can access that.
Mm-hmm. Here, that is, anything is possible, and that sounds like a really good idea. The problem I have is 90 people at this time have signed up for this course. And generally there's been around 40 every week that have showed up. So it's very difficult to know who's on what week, actually. Because there's more than one screen in front of me, I don't have a list of who joins in every week. And people, it's awkward. What I'm gonna take that to heart and try and sort out something that will work for us. Someone's just Sharon is saying to everyone, email is working great for connecting. So maybe an email list would be okay for right now. That would work for me right now, just to do an email. And then when I think what's happening is the River 474 website is shifting to another format. So that will be answered.
Okay.
Helen, if you want a group, the WhatsApp is a good one to do a closed group, and it's just real easy. You can put videos, you can put a lot of content, and it's very easy to access. And you just
But WhatsApp is not really good. I've gotten off WhatsApp actually, and a whole lot of people have gotten off WhatsApp because of the problems with security and stuff.
Okay,
like
what do you use now?
Telegram problem.
I use either Telegram or Signal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, right now I'm just going to leave it, and I'll work on that behind the scenes a little bit and get back to you. But thank you for bringing it up. Great suggestions, and I'll do my best to figure something out. Thank you.
Verna has a question.
Sorry, Helen. A last thing before. Were you on the health one that was with Nancy and Dala and Yana?
No.
The conference?
No.
Okay. Because Dala had shared something of what you are saying about the chakras, but she had taught another way, going from the bottom to the top and pinging the pineal gland.
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay. That is the sixth energy center, and it can definitely, we will definitely expand on that before we do our activation, because it's good to know more about it. There is a lot more that can be taught on it. I'm not sure I understand the ping, but I do understand the importance of having that particular energy center open. There's a lot of things that we have in our life that have shut it down. First of all, not recognizing that it even exists and that it's an important thing. There are things that we ingest, like fluoride, that actually calcifies it. It is an actual place in our body. Lots to talk about, but it is a very important place of sight.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Yelena. Verna, you've been so patient.
Yeah, I just had wanted to tell Yolanda that the teachings are there, but there's 2 of them, and then it shows the 3 books, and then there's more after that. You just need to scroll farther.
Oh.
Did you understand that? Yeah.
That's how I found them as well. Same as what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Em.
Okay. Thank you. That's great.
I just want to thank you for doing this for us, offering this for us at no price, free, just to bless us. And I think it's wonderful that you are posting these on YouTube. I have shared with so many people, and they have been ministered to greatly. Thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure. Thank you, Donna, and thank you for sharing. I think we are in a real time of shift and change, and it's nice to find your tribe, right?
That's right.
You can talk to. Yeah. I'm looking. Carolyn, are you? Oh, Verna, your hand is up again.
I have a silly question. How do you do a screenshot?
Well, it depends on your computer. On mine, I have a Mac. Command-Shift-3.
I have an iPad.
You have an iPad? I'm guessing it's the same. Can anyone help? M says yes.
For the iPad, if you have your well, you've got your on and off button on one side, you've got your volume on the other, and at least with the my iPad, if you click the off and on button and the button that makes your sound louder, the top button, at the same time, then it takes a picture of the screen.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Thank you.
You can try that, yeah.
But I think, if you have another kind of computer with the little button at the bottom, do you have the little button at the bottom that like that you, okay, anyway, you basically have to just click 2 buttons together. It's either that little round button on the face of the screen plus the one on the very top at the opposite end together. And that makes a screenshot.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Susan Willis, huh?
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Helen. Well, I'm excited. This is something that I really want to learn about, and I just feel more divine. I feel like it's giving me a better understanding of myself and how I was created, and oneness. And it's just helping bring the puzzle closer together. I thought you did a beautiful job explaining it. I want you to know that I feel you must have worked very hard, and I need things kind of simple to understand, and I thought it was beautifully done. Having said that, though, I know I have a lot to learn. So I'm really looking forward to it, to the meditation part, and especially understanding better the Merkabah meditation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's very gracious of you to say. It's encouraging. It's encouraging to be encouraged. Well, I'm looking at this screen. Yeah. The one thing that I've learned in this area, because when you come out of the church age and you're learning more about these things that you have been told repeatedly aren't good for you in one way or the other, or to avoid them. When I started to first of all get a personal lay of the land and understand them as far as I can. I have a lot of questions too, by the way. So I may just have to go and hunker in with Joanne in her new wellness center in South Carolina. Is it open yet? And learn more. But the biggest thing that I found was I didn't learn until I started activating, until I said, no, you know what, knowledge is fine. I've got to do this. And to learn it, I have to get up for my day. I can't easily put in an hour or two of meditation and just focus to become familiar with something. So a lot of it is in my nighttime or very early mornings, so that it becomes part of me. So I'm going to teach the 3 areas. I have more, but the 3 main areas that have taken me into a new place of, you just can't shake me on some things anymore. It's part of you. It's just part of my being. And so easy then when that's established from practice, from desire, from your just, it's from your desire to decide that you really want to go in this direction and learn more. What I'm learning more is not just about myself, but I give the Lord access to me in a way I didn't understand that he needed, so that he could access me.
Wow.
Part of it is getting me out of the way, and that's what this next part will do, if that's a direction you'd like to go.
Well said.
Elizabeth has her hand up.
Elizabeth, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Amen to what you said. I've really found just staying out of the cycle of, the thoughts and anxieties and all these things. But I have a testimony, because I've been really you know, I take care of my daughter, so we have a lot of time where we can just sit and just focus on the presence, focus on the energy and the frequency, you know, just lifting our frequency. And I've had a lot of back pain in the past where I had to take meloxicam, a medication. And I just realized this morning that I have not taken it in weeks. And that is definitely from doing this and the self-healing that's happening. Because I haven't even been exercising. I haven't been able to, because my husband can't even lift right now. He just had surgery. So it's just me doing this. But God is healing. Healing is happening. So, and more than just physical, you know, just peace, just wonderful shalom. It's been amazing, not getting caught up, like being in the eternal now, you know, in the present moment. Yeah, it's amazing.
I love that. I love that eternal now, that being able to get into that place called now is so freeing. And when you're there, everything can happen. You are really unlimited, absolutely unlimited. Yeah.
Jerry, huh?
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Helen. What is, if I'm stepping out of the box, please tell me. What about the Kundalini?
Mm-hmm. What is the question?
Well, you hear teachings about that, and I've heard that it's very dangerous, and I've heard that it's very good. Do either you or Joanne have any information on that?
Can I say something, Helen, here?
Certainly.
About this, okay. Actually, I was just going to give a testimony about that specific thing. I had chronic fatigue for 7 years, and I would go to doctors and all of that, and they didn't know what was going on and exacerbating the problem. Anyway, long story short, I went to someone who practiced, yoga. She taught me yoga, but I went through an Ayurvedic system of cleansing and herbal medications and stuff, which really helped. It was amazing. It helped me. And then they taught me how to massage from my head down to my toe. And then she said to me, okay, I think you need to do yoga. So taught me how to do yoga. Now, I did yoga for quite a while until a Christian friend said, what are you doing? I said, well, you know, it's really helping. And she sent me a cassette tape. Those days you had cassettes. And when it was done by a man in Hong Kong who had done a lot of research on yoga and everything. And when I listened to it, I thought, oh my God, this is really bad. So I went through, because I didn't realize that each pose that you do in yoga, you are actually paying obeisance to a different God by each different pose, right? But Kundalini, and each one, I got rid of most of them. The one that I couldn't get rid of was Kundalini. Kundalini, the Kundalini spirit sits at the base of your spine. And it took me ages, and I could feel it like a snake slithering up and down my spine until, I don't know how long, I think months, I finally got rid of it, because it does hide at the base of your spine. And in Hinduism, Kundalini is not good. So Jerry, that's my answer to your question.
Yeah, it would, it is kind of like a serpent snake type being, but it enters at the base of the spine. You have to allow it to enter or invite it to enter. If you would feel something manifesting at the base of your spine, you would quickly rebuke that, you know, separate yourself from that and not give access. You don't want Kundalini spirit. It's not good. In a Christian, you know, in our Christian belief system, and that a lot of people are engaged with it. Sounds like with this group of people, we don't want that. It's a demonic spirit.
Yeah, Joanne, but at that time I didn't know. I wasn't walking.
Oh, right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. And amazing that the Lord, you know, directed you and showed you how to pull out of all of the different things that you'd engaged with, but, you know, not understanding. So, but that's a very strong one. And you will hear, it's been shocking to me because it used to just be a given that it was not good. From a dark side, and more recently I've seen some things that have been posted or articles or whatever sites where they are they're actually proposing that you engage with it, and in a way that people didn't used to say. That there used to be a clear line, and it's getting fuzzy these days. So that's just something to be aware of. But it's not good.
Thank you. It isn't something that I've engaged in. It's something that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask the question about it, because you do, like Joe Dispenza has a meditation out there for it and has an activating exercise. So I wanted someone else's opinion on it. Thank you.
That's my understanding of it.
Perfect.
And a lot of people that I know that are engaging with this kind of thing that are Christians.
Well, and if you search it, when you search the Kundalini and you question, or you just are looking to what it means, because I had a good friend that was doing that type of yoga, and I had questions about it, so I searched to see what it was, and it very openly tells you that it's very dangerous. Almost every explanation tells you that it's dangerous. But in the same token, 5 years ago, we thought a lot of this was dangerous. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, I get it.
Thank you.
I don't think that one's going to change. It's, you know, like you said, a lot of it is just understanding how God created us as a being and able to engage with that. That spirit is a separate entity, and my experience was I was reading something, and I was sitting up in bed reading something, and it was like I could physically feel a snake at the base of my spine wanting access, and I just slammed the book shut, started praying in tongues, and read my Bible for an hour before I went to sleep, because I was like, I want nothing to do with this. So we want to be careful, because these things, there's God and truth in it, and there's a fine line where you can start going to another side of things. So it's good to have this talked about with believers and find some guidelines and that kind of thing. So a great question.
It is indeed, and that was a really great answer. That is why before we got to this, we had 6 weeks of laying a plumb line of Christ consciousness.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And we want our energy to be completely and totally his energy. We want to understand that, because to be unlimited in him is to understand not only how we are made, but what is made. The fact that the room that I'm sitting in, that you're sitting in, is not just the room you're sitting in. You're sitting in a massive, if you could just see it in the spirit, it's a consciousness that you're sitting in, that he is part of in everything. And he's waiting for us all the time to connect in that place with him. And so I don't when things like the Kundalini and things like that come up, I don't give it my attention. I don't give it any energy, so that it cannot take a place in me at all. It is, and I know that there are things that come at us, but I have found since my focus is completely to Christ consciousness, and my energy only goes there. Everything has changed in my life. I don't do spiritual warfare. I live above all of the storms that we used to actually engage with, worry about. And now I learned that actually I am. It's so simple. I don't pray the same way. I don't think the same way. I don't give any energy to anything other than Christ in me, the hope of glory. And I keep saying that because when we take a subject like this, which is pretty intense in the whole scheme of where we've been in our life, in our church life, many of us here have come out of decades of church living and being told how to think and what to do and what's right and what's wrong. Well, a lot of it was really, really good, but a lot of it has kept us away from actually being in that energy that is him. He's to abandon ourselves into him, which is the very thing that we want to do. And now we're learning some of the science behind it. You see, the energy centers in our body is just not an new age thing that somebody got a hold of and has created. There's now the science of this whole thing, and of actually being able to measure in our body if our bodies are in alignment. And we can do it, and it doesn't have to come with an external force. It can come from knowing him in all those areas of who we are. Is anyone worried about this? Is there a worry? No. No? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, are there any questions?
Verna has a question.
Verna, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I am a little worried.
Okay.
We've been taught so long that that's new age, don't go there.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is there prayers of protection that we do before the meditating?
You know, that's a very, very good question.
Helen, can I help with that?
Who's talking?
Cynthia.
Cynthia, yes, Cynthia, go.
Verna, one thing that Jesus is the door, and when we are meditating, we enter in through the door, which is Christ. And once you enter through the door, which is Christ, and we are led by him, there's nothing to be afraid of. You enter through the door, you enter through the blood of Yeshua, you enter through his broken body.
Yeah.
That's the protection you have. And once you enter in through the right door, which is Christ, there is nothing to be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And everything Helen has taken us through has been Christ-centered. And I love the fact that she began with us on that very foundation, even though it might seem so primary, it was so important because that is the door we are entering to build on the foundation she started. So we are entering through Christ, through his blood, and through his broken body. And I don't know anything out there in the world that can beat that or that can fight that in the cosmos even.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to be afraid of. All you need to do is enter through the correct door, which is Christ. The difference between us and the so-called New Agers is that they are entering through a wrong door, which is not Christ. We are entering through Christ. And so just wanted to share that.
Cynthia, I really appreciate you saying that, because that was the whole focus of doing that first lesson, of understanding that we are living in the complete work of what Christ did on the cross. Remember, we talked about the epicdomai, about the ceremony that went on in heaven, that the enemy has no place. The enemy has only the power we give it. And so if our attention goes into that place, our energy will do that. So that's why if we keep our focus on him, if we keep that as our heart center, that is the only place for me. And we won't get double-minded. I actually have absolutely no fear in it. I appreciate though, and if before you, one of the things that you could do, or we can do personally, is partake of communion every day, as a remembrance to get our focus to that place of in him, that he is in us, we are in him, and know that in that place there is nothing that can get at you there. I told Kim Whitman I'm stealing her life verse that she has in Zechariah 3, where it talks about, and the Lord will put a fire, be the fire around us, and the glory in our midst. I mean, we have nothing to fear. That is our focus. But I do appreciate Jerry bringing that up about Kundalini. I haven't explored it. It hasn't been anything that I've done a deep dive into. Neither have I done a deep dive into yoga. And I have heard the same about, positions being worship of other gods. However, if you're going to say a position it can be a worship position, but worship comes from your heart. It's like people that are afraid of taking the mark of the beast. Well, you can't take it without the worship. That has to be an intent from your heart for it to be. So it actually isn't bothersome at all, because we are not heading into any worship of anything other than
Gina has a question.
Gina,
I had a comment to Verna's comment. When we're in this position of deconstructing our minds and our belief systems, coming from the church age into the kingdom age, it can be a little bit disconcerting, because we're having to deal with a belief system that we've had our whole lives, and we are coming to the understanding and the revelation knowledge that these belief systems are no longer serving us. So we need to let them go, and that can be a little bit nerve-wracking because it's new and we don't have a grid for this new thing. But fear, of course, always keeps us in a not good place. And it's always it's a thing that meditation works against. So again, it is the walking through the veil, like Cynthia was talking about, through the blood, through the veil of Christ that's already been established for us, knowing who we are and whose we are, knowing that we are the I am, knowing that we can come boldly to the throne of grace. and walking without fear, because it's not in us. It's not in him we live and move and have our being. Fear doesn't have any place in that. So if we can in our mindset and in our state of being, remember who we are and whose we are as we go and delve into the newer things of what we're learning, and stand strong in him. It's not us, knowing that we are all have the Spirit of God in us to know. And remember, listen to your heart. You are way smarter, way more spiritual than you think you are. And that's another thing that we have to deconstruct. We got way more going on than we've ever been told we have.
Yeah, and it's not blasphemy to think that, like a few years ago, to say I am, and anybody else would say that's blasphemy, you know. But he took my fear and my anxiety and my worry and gave me his peace and his joy and love. And
right. And so just walk in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are seated with him. You're seated in. You rule and reign with him. You are co-creator with him. You're co-creator with him. It is no longer you who live, but Christ in you. Yeah. Well, I just, Joanne, do you have any, I'm going to give you the last word if you'd like to say anything. Thank you for being with us tonight. You're welcome anytime, all the time.
Well, thanks. I was glad to hear about what was going on and listen in. Yeah. For me, it was, you know, this has been at this point, probably 25, 30-year journey, and looking at these kind of things where the Lord brought me into studying light. I heard the term light therapy, and it exploded like a bomb inside of me. And so I just started studying light in scripture, and which got me into quantum physics, which, you know, down the pathway. You know, I understand the hesitation. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, of the one lady that was saying she was a little concerned, because I walked through the whole thing in fear and trembling, because I was brought up very conservatively, and a lot of things were, I was brought up in fear too. And so that ruled a lot. But I love what everybody's saying, you know, that it's being rooted in Christ and in the blood of Jesus and going through that door. Excellent explanation there. And just being able to know we're safe in him, and knowing that he is more able to hold us than Satan is to deceive us, because sometimes it's difficult to stay out of the fear, and past thoughts and things other people have said, you know, will come in our heads. So it's nice to have a support group, and that everybody's headed in the same direction. And thanks for letting Jessica and I in on it. And we enjoyed it. She's getting treated on the beaver mat. So, so she's offline right now. But anyway, just things that we learned of who we really are and what we can do to access as much of God as he is, he originally designed for us to.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks.
No,
very good. Very good.
You're welcome. Both welcome all the time. And really, really appreciate all of you tonight, all of you. I know that there's been a number of people who put their things into the chat. I haven't been able to sit and read that. I don't know if I still can, but would you please, if you want to do the meditation time and learn about that, if that is part of something you'd like to do in the next 2 weeks, then just let me know. I'll also send you a reminder. I'll just email you a reminder, and then please email me back and say which day you would prefer. Would that be okay? And
I've already sent mine.
There's no have to. What?
I've already sent you an email to that effect.
Okay, all right, you're way ahead of the game. First come, first serve. No, I do want to have us just two or three smaller groups if I have to add to it or put another day. I'm happy to do that because it's something that is so dear to me and has been so life-changing that I want to help whoever wants the help, or just be interested. And if you're not, it's because it's just not the time. And so enjoy the information and learning that you're part of, and just put it on the shelf until you're ready. And when you're ready, then there's a Chinese saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And that's really how life works. When we're ready, it's amazing who he'll put in your path to help you go into the next place. I'm also aware that we're from New Zealand and Australia to Africa on this call, and the times are different. So you could talk to me about doing another time if that doesn't work with you. But it will be interactive. It'll be it's not going to be the normal PowerPoint kind of presentation. There will be a little bit expansion just to get everybody on the same page as we enter in, and as I share how to do just the three types of meditation. I hope you'll find interesting, and we'll just take it from there. It's one day at a time. Everything okay? All right.
Oh, Helen, you can actually save the chat so you can read it later.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Yolanda. I'll do that, but if you wouldn't mind still emailing me, then I'd be very happy if you did that. Okay. Well, the Lord bless you. Keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you his shalom. I love each and every one of you from my heart to yours. Love you, love you. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.